This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I will not be distracted.
Knock this indictment out before it ever sees the light of day.
They cannot be 100% focused on their jobs.
Melissa has the potential to be Harvey and Dorian and Helene combined.
1,000 pounds of brisket, 1,000 pounds of pork butts, a couple thousand pounds of mac and cheese.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. A fired up Tish James is back in New York after pleading not guilty to federal fraud charges this morning in Virginia.
The justice system is being used as a vehicle of retribution. Yes.
James says she'll stay focused on her job as Attorney General of New York State.
I've stood up for the rights of New Yorkers and Americans, and I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will do my job each and every day, and that's why I'm headed back to New York, because there's work to be done. Standing up for the rule of law. God bless you and thank you all.
Prosecutors allege she misled a bank when she obtained a mortgage in Virginia and saved about $18,000 by declaring it a second home while others lived there. The trial has been set for January, but former Deputy Assistant U.S. Attorney General Tom Dupree says James's lawyers will try to stop the case before it gets that far.
The defense's strategy is going to be to knock this indictment out before it ever sees the light of day before a jury. What they are going to try to argue is that the prosecutor Lindsay Halligan's appointment was unlawful. And so they're basically going to try to short circuit this entire case and get it thrown out.
Philadelphia was ground zero today for the government shutdown. The head of the Air Traffic Controllers Union gave a dire warning from Philadelphia Airport about his members' performance in the tower. Nick Daniels speaking to reporters.
They cannot be 100% focused on their jobs, which makes this system less safe every day that this shutdown continues. Tomorrow will be less safe than today.
Air traffic controllers are working, but because of the shutdown, they aren't being paid. Air travel is projected to be record-setting for the Thanksgiving holiday, but there is a big if to that statement. Travel editor Peter Greenberg fears what will happen if the shutdown isn't resolved by then.
So we're reaching an inflection point because the government's saying to the controllers, if you call in sick, we're going to fire you. Okay, who are they going to replace them with? They don't have any.
Greenberg says there's also a substantial economic impact from the shutdown.
They're estimating right now we're losing about $1 billion a week in revenue because of the shutdown alone, and that's just in the travel and tourism sector.
President Trump says he is cutting off trade negotiations with Canada. This after Canada ran an ad campaign featuring former President Reagan, who did not support long-term tariffs.
The way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition.
Trump says those ads interfere with a pending Supreme Court case regarding his authority to impose tariffs. The Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, responded.
We can't control the trade policy of the United States. We recognize that that policy has fundamentally changed.
Carney kept the door open to negotiations on certain sectors like steel and energy. An aircraft carrier is on its way to the waters off South America on Pentagon orders as the Trump administration wages war on drugs. There was a 10th U.S. military strike overnight on alleged drug traffickers in the Caribbean and Pacific, killing 6 men. CBS reporter Emily Watson.
There are 10,000 in total U.S. forces around the Caribbean now between warships and on bases in Puerto Rico. There are questions on what the administration is gearing up for.
At least 3 people are dead and 5 injured in Haiti due to Tropical Storm Melissa. Weather Channel hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb says the storm will likely become a major hurricane. Jamaica and Cuba will be in its path.
Melissa has the potential in the Caribbean to be Harvey and Dorian and Helene combined. all the worst aspects of those systems.
Melissa could potentially reach Category 4 strength by Sunday. It's too early to say if the tip of Florida will get nicked or if the storm just generates strong riptides off the Carolina coast. Now to the Keystone State, where charges have been filed in a case involving falsified voter registration forms. The latest from Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yes, Sarah. Attorney General Dave Sunday says charges have been filed in connection with faked forms submitted in 3 PA counties before the 2024 general election. He says 6 street canvassers who were allegedly paid to collect registrations in Lancaster, York, and Berks counties are facing several charges. Sunday says the system rejected most of the bogus forms, which included all party affiliations, and that the canvassers weren't politically motivated, but rather trying to make quotas to keep their jobs. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
And the Christian faith that once defined American values is on track to lose its majority status in the U.S. by the year 2070. According to Pew Research, 62% of Americans say they're Christian right now. In 1970, that figure was 90%. If current trends continue in 45 years, Christians will make up just 46% of the total U.S. population. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, Election Day 2025, a week and a half away. Pennsylvania has the potential to unseat 3 state Supreme Court justices and prison reform in the Empire State. Those stories after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Tonight, patchy clouds, a few scattered showers, especially east of the lakes. Chilly, low temps 30s. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sunshine in a good part of Pennsylvania. Clouds, limited sun in New York, isolated showers or sprinkles. High temps upper 40s to mid 50s. Sunday, clouds and drizzle, then some sun, and continued chilly with high temperatures, mostly in the upper 40s to the middle 50s.
Thank you, Kevin. Next at 5, we've got Jason McGuire in Albany, Michael Gear in Harrisburg. It is the Capital Connection crew with our own Bob Price. We start with an election. Let's listen in.
We're getting real close to Election Day 2025. All eyes, of course, on the big mayor's race out of New York City. But for those of us who do not live in New York City, why is it still worth showing up at the polls Tuesday, November 4th?
Yeah, this is one of those years in which you're going to see many local elections on the ballot. And really what happens at the local level has a great impact on your life. And so you will be voting for mayors and voting for town boards. There is actually a special election outside of your listening area, but up in the North Country for a state assembly seat. And so in various places in the state, you will have various kinds of candidates and offices to vote for. And so we encourage people to vote in every election because every election does have an impact on your life.
Michael, a simple yes or no vote will determine the fate of the 3 liberal justices on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. That, of course, is the big contest a week from Tuesday, those so-called retention elections. How difficult will it be to toss those justices from the bench?
Well, the retention elections typically go in favor of holding on to those seats, but there have been precedents in the past where that doesn't happen. And I think in this particular race, and a lot of money being spent on both sides, that there is a great potential for the no vote to win out in these 3 Supreme Court elections. I think what's notable in these retention elections especially is just how controversial these justices have been on issues related to gerrymandering, COVID shutdowns. The abortion issue is prominent in this race. All 3 of these justices have been backed by the abortion lobby, so that raises the profile of this race to a significant place that maybe the no's might win.
Yeah. Jason, there has been a lot of clamoring for prison reform in light of the big story this week out of Oneida County, New York, the verdicts in those Marcy murder trials, 1 conviction, 2 acquittals. What's been your reaction to the verdict, and what are the greatest needs when it comes to our correctional institutions in New York?
Well, looking at the family of Robert Brooks, they are greatly concerned that they do not feel that justice has been completely satisfied in this situation. And, I wasn't in the room. I don't know exactly what happened, but I have a hard time seeing when there is essentially a mob there that beat that man and some did not act to stop it. I have a problem with that. There is a push to bring some reforms to our criminal justice system, and much of what is being proposed and is currently on the governor's desk does not seem objectionable. I expect she will sign it
into law. But I'm not sure that any of these legal changes are going to make all that much difference until we really change what's going on in the hearts and minds of every individual. You simply cannot stop all of these things with a law. We have to change hearts and minds, how we approach the dignity of every individual.
Well, Michael, by my count, the state budget was due 118 days ago. But instead of addressing that, Pennsylvania politicians seem more interested in abortion expansion and marijuana. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in Harrisburg with Senate Bill 49, as well as these extreme and aggressive abortion measures in the House Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is the only state in the nation that doesn't have a budget settled, and yet the legislature, or some in the legislature, pushing some bills that don't stand a chance of getting ultimately passed. That would be the case in these pro-abortion bills that are in the House of Representatives. These bills would include putting a constitutional right to abortion all the way up through birth, also creating a situation where health and safety regulations on abortion clinics and the 24-hour waiting period and other things being repealed. Those are really being done by legislators in the Democrat House, simply, I think, to try to turn out the vote and to raise money, but ultimately not going to get past the Pennsylvania Senate. On the marijuana issue, Senate Bill 49 would establish a control board for marijuana or cannabis, and to some degree, it's looking at the sort of wild, wild west that exists with medical marijuana here in Pennsylvania, but we are concerned that it may grease the skids for legalization of commercial sale of marijuana ultimately.
And with the dysfunction right now in Harrisburg, any chance that could slip into a final deal and become law without people really knowing it?
Well, we hope and pray not, but those kinds of things happen when you get in these budget impasses. We've seen it happen before with expanded gambling, and so we are keeping a close watch on what's happening at the Capitol as a result.
You can subscribe, listen to, and share Capital Connection and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
The Master has entrusted you with a purpose. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. In Mark 13, Jesus tells a parable about a man who goes on a journey and leaves servants in charge, each with their assigned task. As with many of Jesus' parables, we're meant to see ourselves in the story. We're the servants called to care for what belongs to the master and to advance his interests in the world. Your assignment may look different from mine, but we share this in common. Everything we have, our time, our talents, our resources, belongs to him, and our role as stewards is to manage it all for his glory. Our task is simple but significant, to remain faithful with what he's placed in our hands, joyfully serving the one who has promised to return. Discover the best Christian financial articles, podcasts, and videos by visiting our website, faithfi.com, or by downloading FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, you got to go home and make dinner. But what if you had to feed a football stadium of people this weekend? We're going to take you right inside a stadium kitchen after one last look at weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, the weekend is upon us. It's going to be a chilly one across the land, but recent showers, and especially the lake effect showers, will be diminishing, and a little bit more in the way of sunshine will be emerging for many of us as high pressure builds into the region. That high will then spell fairly sunny, tranquil weather for early next week. Things may get active again late next week. Our call for tonight, patchy clouds, a few scattered showers, especially east of the lakes, and again, chilly, low temps 30s. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sunshine in a good part of Pennsylvania, clouds, limited sun in New York with a couple of isolated showers or sprinkles. It'll be chilly, high temps upper 40s to mid 50s. Sunday, clouds, some drizzle, then some sun, and continued chilly with high temperatures, mostly in the upper 40s to the middle 50s.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, we are knee-deep in football season. What does it take to feed a stadium of football fans?
Everything we do is in bulk, high volume. So if we're doing brisket, it's 1,000 pounds of brisket, 1,000 pounds of pork butts, a couple thousand pounds of mac and cheese.
CBS News interviewed the culinary offensive line at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, which consists of a dozen chefs and 300 cooks, led by kitchen quarterback, executive chef Matt Cooper.
Game day is kind of our finish line, so it takes about a full week to produce for one game.
One Falcons game means meals for 71,000 fans, ranging from a high-end giant tomahawk steak to a $2 hot dog.
If you're a guest, in our house, It wouldn't be fair. Just because you're in a stadium, you shouldn't be paying more.
In Atlanta, each game day, there is one signature dish. This weekend, it's a full rack of St. Louis ribs twisted into the shape of a stadium and filled with mac and cheese. These fans are thrilled.
Ribs, barbecue, football. Hot dogs and burgers won't do. So it's either go big or go home. That's how I feel.
Now, other stadiums are following suit with their menus.
In Baltimore, Ravens fans can get a crab-shaped pretzel with a stadium-made crab dip. And at Ford Field in Detroit, there's the Spin Dash Smash Burger Combo, a crispy smashed patty with mozzarella, pizza sauce, crispy pepperoni, served with tater tot fries.
Yes, please. All of that. Everything. You too can feed a stadium of people with 300 cooks, or just go find some mac and cheese for dinner tonight. And that's the world that we live in for Friday, the 24th of October. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.